actually Simon Alford said to
Okay.
us that they are in business to produce great design, which is a principle I think you can see from Edgeman
Yeah.
and what they've managed to achieve. It's incredible, and they produce great design. And what the way he said that to us was that, look, you've got to take care of your shop first so that you
Right.
can be in business to keep going. Creative industry is always tempting to think, forget the business, forget the finance, it's all about the art. And there's a really, really tight tightrope to walk
Yes.
to go down on that point. But you can't ignore the fact that if you do build a great business and a sustainable business, you can achieve more impact. Yeah, cracking through. It's starting to get busy now.
Yeah, it's that time. I was just looking on your website trying to work out how many people is in your practice now.
It's changing every week now.
Yeah. And how busy the projects are.
Yeah, and also we're hiring at the moment, so it could be very different in 2 weeks' time, hopefully.
Okay.
Yeah, get some more people in.
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah, because
But
when we last spoke, I think you were saying there were quite a lot of projects potentially happening, and they were a little bit slow.
Yeah, it's I think it's common across most people I speak to, agents, PMs, and of course other architects and engineers. It just seems like projects are either not quite going ahead, or they're doing like almost mini stages or half stages,
Okay.
which is mad, really. It just as seems to be everyone approaching so much with caution. So
Yes.
it just makes kind of a pipeline of big chunky jobs harder.
Yeah, and is that just funding or just lots of uncertainty about what's happening in the market?
Yeah,
All of the above.
yeah. So we need. I don't know what we need, but I think it's just an interesting time. I think we just got to prepare for quite a stable year. Try and prepare for a stable year. Nothing too exciting
Definitely.
growth wise.
Right, definitely. Well, no, thank you for joining me. It's great. Yeah, great to have a bit of time with you. And I think it's if we maybe start off, because it's a fascinating journey you've had. And I mean, my first question, I was thinking, you've done, obviously we met at Foster and Partners, and sort of, I think you were there for about 5 years, was it? And then moved.
Yeah, I always remember you from the main studio. You used to sit in the main studio. I was
Exactly.
a little bit jealous, and I was like, "Man, it must be quite a big deal if he sits in the main studio."
Hearing through the window. Yeah.
Yeah,
What's happening? Can we come in?
is Norman there? Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting times. A remarkable place, clearly.
Yeah.
And huge drive. And Panama Airport was one you were working on, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
And
Yeah, Tokumen. That was a really
Exactly.
cool project, and like a unanimous roof. Very working with a specialist modelling group, which was so cool.
yeah, definitely. No, I was always gutted when I think the value engineered this big central garden area, which was like really lovely, and then it's cut out for cost.
It was meant to be like the lush rainforest, and
Yeah.
I think the Singapore airport was based on.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, no, I guess they didn't have the funds for it.
Yeah. You learnt lots in that period, but you took a decision before White Reg. You went UHA and then TP Bennett. Was that with Ricardo for a bit?
Yeah, so Ricardo was a partner from Foster's.
Yeah.
Alongside Jonas Upton Hansen, so that's the UH or the UHA.
Okay.
And Jonas was at Foster's as well.
Okay.
A long time ago, and he set up with Ricardo and built a team, which is where Jesus was employee number one, and so I met Jesus at UHA.
Oh right. Okay.
So Joe and I were mates at uni at Manchester. We were always kind of working on competitions and really competitive with each other. But we laid down our swords and joined forces. And very quickly afterwards, I think it was Jesus and I would go to the gym and stuff together in lunchtimes, and I was chatting about working with Joe, and he started getting involved in some of the competitions we were doing and the small projects. And then it became quite clear that he was the kind of completing partner between Joe and I, who are quite similar in our attitudes and excitement. Brought a lot of stability, much needed stability.
Yeah, no, I think that's showed from an early time. You had that strength of leadership and complementing strengths, I suppose, and how you've
Yeah.
evolved into how you structure the practice now, where I believe it's still the case, but more business development and maybe even marketing and branding and client acquisition. Joe's more in the design and then visioning, and he's got the pencil. And Jesus, I was trying to think how you describe what Jesus' role is. It more? It's not technical delivery. It's like the business or the data.
So actually, we've almost formalised the three of us, and I think what we haven't done is actually formalise the titles we give each other, because it's always quite a hard thing to do. But I'm taking more of the chief strategy or CEO role of overseeing as a practice, what is the best route for us strategically wise, and bringing together all the factions of sales, marketing, and then even as small down to like IT and legal. Operations is probably where you wouldn't really call an architecture practice operations, but it is the doing of the creative work. So Joe heads up that, and he's the creative director. Alongside our associate director Lizzie. Joe and Lizzie work very tightly together to kind of oversee that operations side, which is the business of architecture. Jesus is our support director in a way that he's almost the CFO. I actually imagine him like Matthew Streets from Foster's. Do you remember?
Completely.
That was the one that for me triggers an opportunity for us. If we think like a bigger practice and start structuring ourselves, then we can try and organise ourselves a bit better, so we're ready for our growth. And it's been amazing we worked with a business coach quite thoroughly for 2 years to kind of work through that imposter syndrome you have of actually knowing what you're usually good at and what the others are good at, and then all pointing at each other and saying, look, this is what we're actually good at, let's divide the roles up a bit.
It's such a smart thing to do. Well, did you all have to do psychometric tests, or you just pick questionnaires?
I think it was a lot of tears and blood and sweat, It was, it was actually I mean, we kind of all innately knew it. It's always unsaid, and it's not like we actually are all siloed off in separate areas, but working with a coach basically works with all three of us and then split us off individually as well, and working with them gave us that almost referee to be able to help us unlock it in each other, and it was really transformational for us to just come back together and say, I want it as much as you want it, and we all do, so we'll just get on with it.
And I suppose the ultimate story of building a practice which and needs energy into specific work streams, like say the marketing or the branding or business development, and then design and improving the processes within those, and finance clearly, and how to get each area of the best it can be. But then you come together and you've got this whole practice. It makes complete sense. And that idea, I mean, it made, when you said about thinking yourself as a bigger practice, made me think about the book, the E-Myth, where they talk about process and different people in the business, of a technician, the manager, and the entrepreneur. And clearly having that mindset is going to be bigger. How do we build the systems and the processes from day one is a great mindset. It really is.
And it's, that book's a great book to be summarised as simply as working on the business, not in the business. And that is so hard to do, especially in architecture. And that dialogue between, especially Joe and I, whilst he's the creative director, we both rely on each other to unlock the concept of the projects, and we kick ideas across each other. We always have done, and we'll go red in the face and we'll get angry, but it's not ever.
That's the white red, is it?
That's the white red. That's the white face and into the red face, and that's the white face. But and it's a really great dynamic we have with that, and we've probably obviously worked on that for years and have never fallen out. It's always been the best result for the project, of the concept that we would fight for, and always happy to hear each other's point of view and work through it. But Joe is better at leading that, so he calls me in when he needs me, and most of the time it's the very early stages to kind of unlock the concept. But it's also trickles down to also how the team perform and have their input.
You need that constructive feedback, like a pin-up, I suppose, with the design board comes in from Foster's or whoever. And
I mean, that's actually something we try and model, because Joe's ex-Acumen.
Okay.
And and Lizzie is as well. And we also got an associate in our team called Kit, who's ex-Acumen as well.
Okay.
So they come with that understanding of what their design reviews look like, and I try and explain what Foster's is like. But it's quite hard to. I could do some backup, to be honest, but yeah. I mean, we try and have now on Thursday afternoons are all about design reviews for the whole team to bring the projects to the brick wall and try and prod them as much as possible, because the whole concept of White Red, whilst Joe's creative director and Joe, Jesus and I set it up, we really want it to be a vehicle for young, exciting energy to build whatever they want in their career and try and expand the practice how they suits them as well, and produce the design work and the architecture that they want to achieve too.
Yeah, that's, I can imagine, inspiring for the people coming in to know they can form their own little, whether it's a portfolio of projects or influencing how design goes on the specific projects. And for your view of scaling or getting larger, getting people to buy into that story, and it probably makes a really healthy energy, like you say.
It's hard to do. It's easy to say. It's hard to do it.
Yeah.
But it is, the reality is, it is our intention for that, and we see a lot of the kind of assume in the old school way, and the kind of the way that we knew at Foster's, or the way you kind of assumes or some of the bigger names were, that it's a more of a top-down approach, and that that had its place in architecture and design. But our preference has always been to try and prod the project and see who else could bring some ideas. So we really like that approach, because it's always exciting to have other people's ideas. Yeah,
which then you can riff off, and I suppose get a much richer experience if someone comes up with alternatives. So how you foster that, how you bring that environment to encourage the quieter people and the ones who are always a bit louder. Because I guess that's sort of getting into leadership and management of it, and how that game of making people feel comfortable and safe to make mistakes, and that's fascinating. We could come on to that, that'd be great. But I was going to say, the experience, building the business, it was always a plan for you and Joe, it sounds like, to always create your own practice. And what was the reason, I suppose, if you distilled it down, do you think, for you to want to do that?
Someone asked me this actually yesterday, and I my honest answer is I just assumed everyone wanted to do that. I just thought that was what everyone does. I really never, from the early stages, I honestly thought, well, it's just, we've got to do it, because Joe and I, especially Joe and I, throughout university, worked so well together.
Right.
I actually set the company up, the limited company up, and I just put his name on as a director, and I was quite amazed I didn't even need his permission to do it. His name and date of birth, and he was suddenly a director of my company I'd set up. So I forced him into it.
Yeah.
And then I said, you've got to get your accounts done, otherwise we're going to get a fine. So I kind of scared him into it.
Brilliant.
But that formalisation of a limited company, I think I've always been the type of person to come up with loads of ideas. There's a book called Rocket Fuel, which describes as the two characteristics of entrepreneurship. And I've always been that instigator of 10 to 15 stupid ideas. Kind of a half one in it. Sometimes it's quite good. A lot of sporadic energy, loss of focus all the time. So I've always been thinking about setting up businesses and always had new ideas. But the stable one I always had was that Joe and I would be in practice together.
Okay.
We worked briefly together for Hawkins Brown. Joe worked there a bit longer, so we had this connection with visibility of practices like that. And Joe was quite close with Simon Alford at Acumen.
Sure.
So we'd been had visibility on what founders of architecture practice look like, and I think we just saw ourselves hopefully being there too, and finding teammates like Joe and Jesus is very rare.
Yes.
So
I think especially complementing in the way you've talked about, and being able to fill up that whole piece of the puzzle, I suppose. And there's probably clearly with Lizzie coming in, there's more as you grow and get more complex, bigger projects, etc.
It's hard to know how at the time when you're younger, you don't quite know what the complementary facets are, but you just they're almost intuitive. I remember there was a moment where I think we had commissioned our first £2,000 or something, and it was in our bank account, a white red bank account. And Joe and I were like, "Great, let's get new iPhones." Well, we both need iPhones, and it was Jesus, which is such a great story about what Jesus is within the practice. Is he was like, "No, we need to keep building some cash in the bank so that one day we can go full time and cover a salary, and we want a buffer. We want to make sure we don't just spend everything that we get in, because this is a longer play than just new iPhones, because next year there'll be another iPhone, and we want that." And it was just so
and actually true. Having that financial stewardship is so important, because it's so like the pressures on, we need the iPhones because there's a load of reasons why they're great to have and talk clearly to clients and get more work, and there's but actually to look good. But there's a whole balancing act, and I was just reflecting when you said that about Matthew Street's role, but also at Big, Sheila came in to be the CEO of Bjarke, and it was that really strong financial experience she brought, and so almost holding Bjarke and the team to account, saying, you can't, we've got to get paid to do this wonderful design work. Come on,
there's a great quote by her where I think she's in an article she wrote about coming into Bjarke and going through the finances and being like, this is easy. We need to get paid first and on time. And they thought I was a genius. It's as simple as that. It's like, right, let's bring up our clients and make sure we get paid on time. And just let's start there.
And I suppose the duality of a split of roles, like it didn't have to be Bjarke doing it. Someone else could phone in and say, independent from the design story and the emotions of the project and the relationship, and actually say, no, this is. So I think that good cop, bad cop works really well, doesn't it? And it's fascinating when you break it down like that. And that obviously was a big challenge at Foster's, getting paid. So no matter how big you are, especially if you work in different countries, there's multiple challenges in getting paid. And design is still a massive, important, value-adding part of the business. But these other agendas are so important, aren't they, to run a successful business?
Yeah.
And, so are you enjoying it? You think it sounds like?
I love it.
Yeah.
I think that's what I was thinking as you were chatting as well, as what's great about architecture is there's so many different types of architects. Whether or not you want to be a technical architect or front end, or even amongst those, there's just so many multitudes. But for me, the kind of business owner and architect role is amazing. I love it. I love building a business, and also doing it in the creative industry and doing it in architecture. The ability that architecture has to make an impact on the earth is incredible. And more so than marketing, more so than law. It's definitely an exciting faction. But that combined with building a business is definitely what really keeps me excited.
Yeah, no, sure. And then having that ability to solve massive problems or bring communities together and make impacts, like you say, design challenges, and do it in your way. That was one of the things at Foster's, for example, or these other large practices. It's the brand was developed, the structure of the business was developed, the roles were defined, and it's almost like there was a situation of small cogs in a big machine, and wonderful work ethic and lots of amazing projects, but equally from a growth opportunity for yourself or for anyone, to have exposure now to what colour, the simplest things. What should the brand be? What is the brand? And those big topics, which I think I was looking at your website just now. I mean, it's phenomenal how clear and crisp, and the brand is so strong. it's really powerful how you've got it, and you've created that as well as over time.
And it's an ongoing living organism as well. The brand is constantly evolving, and it's something definitely I learned from Foster's. It's just how important the brand is. And something that I just respect so much about Norman Foster is
definitely
how he did it, and it's just really inspiring to have had such an early part of my career there.
Definitely
to take that inspiration. I think Joe thinks I'm too obsessed with Foster's. So. I've got Stockholm syndrome or something because I still love the place.
Well, I think there is this, although super hard work and super, the spirit people who work there have, is an intense time. But there was I think, a belief of you can create anything, can do anything, can go and make something happen. Is in all this world of being told you can't do this, you can't do that, and actually somehow keeping the confidence to do it. I think the spirit of that spirit is there definitely still.
It is.
Which shows, I thought, what's really nice, the work you've done recently with Virgin and that full alignment to the spirit of entrepreneurship and how aligned with what you've created, obviously, despite the red and white, but the project, and then you got to meet Richard Branson, which must have been phenomenal. I mean,
it really felt like really complete story of almost like a marriage of us working with them, even from 2018, well, I think it was 2017. I joined the Virgin Startup Accelerator, so it was a free accelerator course. I think they took some time off work to go to do it, and it was just one of the few things I was doing as trying to set up White Red, and then I got Joe and Jesus to come on the Virgin Startup Marketing course that they did, and so very early on I was really inspired by Richard Branson's story, not least the fact that when I was 13, 14 I was diagnosed with dyslexia, and it was my art teacher that said to me, don't worry, there's another Dicky that's dyslexic, and he's done all right, and that was Richard Branson. So to have that so early on and sort of kind of scary moment in your life was really amazing, and I've always read his books. I've always given them to Joe, so I used to read them. So that opportunity we had to pitch for the job, it was beyond just a normal pitch. We put everything we had into it, to the point where the Virgin client team said, we just can't not give it to you guys because of the story we told about what it would mean to us to work with them. So it was an incredible opportunity. It was a hard project because they are a very involved client, and they've got such an amazing brand and values, but we learned so much from them to the point where it's hopefully rubbed off on us. Values that run through Virgin, and the respect that they all have for founder Richard, and also for each other, and things like working with a diversity and inclusion team and sustainability specialists, and head of communications, even brand. It's just really incredible that we've got that opportunity, and it all culminated in finishing it and showing Richard around and having an opportunity to take on board his snagging, which was very few points actually, which was great. But I was really lucky as well. Over Christmas, I received a handwritten note from Sir Richard Branson, to me, which was just like the ultimate touch.
Certainly.
So, sat there on Necker Island. I don't know how he would have made time to write to me, but it's now going to be framed up.
Well, of course. But it shows. I think what's nice is you can show you can build businesses and create this. He's obviously created multiple businesses and a framework for lots of people to be empowered to do stuff and to be a part of that, and that's the power of good business. But then the little touches of human experience, and obviously with Virgin, I was a member of the sort of Virgin Atlantic versus BA, and how the whole experience was done about making people feel special. And I think it does translate to architecture, doesn't it? And how you go to a building and how do we make this team or community feel special and want to come here.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so important. And
I think, but also on the point of business and architecture, I think architects typically, this is not everybody, don't really value how important the business side of architecture is. It was actually Simon Alford who said to us that they are in business to produce great design, which is a principle I think you can see from Edge. What they've managed to achieve is incredible, and they produce great design. And the way he said that to us was that, look, you've got to take care of your shop first so that you can be in business to keep going. And I think in the creative industry it's always tempting to think, forget the business, forget the finance, it's all about the art. And there's a really, really tightrope to go down on that point. But you can't ignore the fact that if you do build a great business and a sustainable business, you can achieve more impact. So it's something that Joe and I have really worked on, that kind of pushing back on each other over the years. Whilst I chuck in an entrepreneur book, he chucks me a design book or a sort of a Buron catalog. Something where he's like, come on, this is all also about the work. It's really
certainly
have that.
Yeah, I can see that it's got to be a balance, hasn't it? It sounds really like it's actually a melting pot. Like you've got that first for learning, all of you. It's not a static thing. You said it's an organism growing, and I think that must be so inspiring for your team to come in and go, they get chat the Virgin book. There's something's happened.
They're always here,
Do you have a library now?
We've got a little library at the front, but
nice.
The most unloved one, I think, is the Richard Branson book. I think.
but it's how you stay relevant, I suppose. Like, because some of them can get the new trends come in, even for design as well, I suppose, and how consistency or longevity can happen, and how you keep being successful. I think it's a game, and keep being relevant. But one thing I was going to move on to, I thought we talked about it previously, how in terms of business development, in terms of focus and a catalyst for your maybe growth or success seems to be, you talk about niching down, focusing rather than all sorts of maybe opportunities. So I don't want to use the word headless chicken, but
it was.
Yeah.
It really was. I mean, I was just chatting with someone just now who's an engineer and saying, chatting about business development, definitely a little bit earlier into the journey, and saying, we think that a really good thing to offer clients is the fact that we do everything, residential to hotel. And I said, my experience, and I'm quite passionate about this, is that we did do that. We started business based on the fact that we did have that expertise to do from residential through to hotels and offices. But it was only 3 years ago where we just said, look, we really think that picking that lane and diving into a specific one is probably where our strength lies, honestly. And picking commercial interiors, we've got an element of hospitality interiors too, but it turns out in a post-pandemic interior refurbishment, commercial interiors is our lane, and it's where we're conquering down. And for us, it feels aligned to our values, but also it enables us to kind of get our head around building a business properly and building the team properly that have that expertise. Also understanding our network and who our clients should be in that.
Right.
Probably isn't a small niche, but it feels like it is just rejecting residential, some of the other sectors that lots of architects choose. And we decided to just not completely delete them, but take a pause on our focus from that.
Right. Okay.
And spend at least the next 3 to 5 years consolidating hopefully one of the best practices that can undertake commercial interiors in refurbished buildings in the UK.
How did that conversation happen? Was it you had some experience?
I think for a long time people have been telling us you should think about niching, think about a niche, and it was honestly something I just thought was a nightmare. Surely we'd be turning down jobs and losing revenue. I just was really worried about saying no. I was always having the back of my head, my dad saying, like, don't turn down projects, just keep
keep it going. Yeah,
keep going. Yeah, and I was like, I just thought it'd be dangerous and we'd just get stuck in a one-way street. But it really was, I think, 3 years ago when we sat on the front. I still remember, I can still visualise that meeting where we sat and pointed at the types of companies we would like to work for.
Right.
There was like Crown Estate, there's Canary Wharf Group, and there was like Landsec, British Land,
Sure.
and those companies we were almost just learning about. It was unbelievable to think that we didn't know who they were. We knew of Derwent because
Right.
Joe did work on Derwent projects, but we didn't know they were like the creme de la creme. We just thought, that was one. Let's try and work with them. And then, but actually, they, the ultimate in the commercial office
Sure.
market. So it was starting there, and then we were always keen networkers. We've always been out and about, and over the years we've been to a lot of events, and then we started realising the better ones, something more you have to pay for, but the ones that actually have longevity to them and have a bit of a rhythm, so that you're starting to build up an actual network of people you know and understand.
Yes.
And it's not just about the clients being there, it's as much as the other consultants, and even sometimes the other architects, as it is
Right.
the end client. So that turning point was, it's led us to where we are now, so it inspires us to keep us going further into the niche.
And the usual pushback to that sounds like it might be, but from a design perspective, but I'll get bored. I want to do an airport or school or
university building. I think also I think Joe and I wrote an article about this recently, was that as architects you go through university and you get a brownfield site or a flat site, and you can do a sculptural bit of architecture, massing, that is beautiful architecture. And I think you come out of university, or at least we did in art here, it's like, right, what buildings am I doing now? And actually the world has changed, and it is changing constantly. What's in front of us is there's no need for these sculptural Frank Gehry's in the middle of central London at the moment. And there are in other parts of the world, but there isn't where we are and where our market is.
Yeah.
So in front of us is the challenge of some beautiful buildings, some ugly old buildings, but we need to not just throw the baby out with the bathwater. What can we do with them? And actually we started falling in love with the fact that when you strip away things, there's some really amazing bones to work with.
Right.
And actually working with those constraints is really fun and really hard. Well, that's the thing, is it's full of fear and unknowns.
Okay.
And but existing buildings can be a nightmare for clients. So to have the expertise that we've built up over what we could potentially encounter, and just trying to guide the client and the rest of the team through that, as a collective, not just us, but
sure,
to impart what we can and learn what we can, has been an exploration in its own, and falling in love with stuff and the type of design we probably wouldn't have thought we would have done.
That's fascinating. And here you've looked to your market and said, well, where's the need, as well as not your own personal, I want to do this type of design, and seen there's like a combination, and then you've got to respond to that, don't you, I suppose, and then but double down on it,
and get excited about sometimes the smallest thing, like a tile that you managed to find, and then you're seeing it up on a big sheer wall. You just think, I've really enjoyed exploring, finding that tile, and it looks great. It's right for that wall. It's
certainly
not, an art museum in the middle of the German city, but it's the tile I picked, and I love it.
And you're bringing life back to these places, literally maybe a bit decayed or tired or old or gnomes there, and you've brought fresh life to. When you say you bring love back to these places, I mean, it's a great, if you think the care and attention is, and then you build a community of people working together and what they're going to achieve. I suppose you can build into that story, whether it's Virgin, whether it's someone else, but a really special experience for those people to come together, especially in a world where post-COVID, people want to work from home. So it's a really interesting, it
really is. It's like sometimes you always think that something you're involved in is the most important thing, but it really is important, the way that we work and the way that we take up commercial space, and appreciate it, and that kind of difference that COVID has made. It's just thrown everything up into the air design-wise, and I think made it more important to understand what the values are of those people that want to work and how they work in those spaces, and how as architects and designers we can help. And it's really rewarding to even just explore them.
Certainly. No, I can see that. And getting people together and then being respectful of the ways they work. And some people would want quieter spaces, some more collaboration spaces. And clearly it's a huge task. And then also preserve from I suppose 80% or whatever of the existing buildings in London are, well, the buildings are built, which we need. I think there was a stat, wasn't there? Which I've messed up there. But by 2050, it was like 80% of the buildings we need are already built. So focusing on those types of buildings makes complete sense from a market point of view. And then it's like and you use less materials, probably because you're focusing on the interiors and you're preserving the beautiful bits of those old buildings.
Yeah. And telling the story of sometimes the history and what the building offers, what the design offers. It's really nice to be able to tell a story through design. And on interiors as well.
So I mean, but that going full in. So I suppose you made some quite intelligent choices about why you chose that niche with experience and the market near you. But then I was thinking, then the doubling down of the ecosystem around, who are also other people who are also focusing on that niche, like whether it's project managers or engineers and clients or architects. But you'll get deeper into those relationships because you're spending more time with those people at these events and who you like to work with. I mean, I think when we met before, you said you've taken time to arrange like ongoing breakfast meetings with project managers, for example, and you've taken time out of your time to build those relationships. So which is obviously, so it's working for you, and it's
I think originally that back to that kind of 3 year ago point when we were looking at those ideal clients, the assumption was, right, now we go out and just pester those people that work there. But actually we approached it a different way. We called it Consultant Suite, where we just wanted to first learn who was working with those clients. So we worked around the client and swept from PM to QS to M&E consultants to structural engineers, who's the agent involved in those projects. So it started with us genuinely wanting to understand who was working with those types of clients. And then you start really enjoying meeting people involved, understand all the story, and you start building relationships and kind of go to the favourites that you like to get back in touch with, and always great to have people on the phone that you can pick up the phone and speak to. I think it's an underrated tool that a lot of architects, but a lot of people don't tend to do, especially seeing younger generations come through. It's the kind of that such a quick way of getting a lot of data and understanding what's happening. So we were really good at working together on that and tracking how we understood that and informing each other of information.
Makes
to
sense.
Combine the actual manual hours, but actually being in events as well.
And I suppose it makes complete sense because then you've built that relationship, and then if say a project manager job comes into them, they're like, oh, we've got to put a list of architects together. Who should we pick? So, well, Dick is a good guy. And you've got that simple conversation and a few more, and it is the relationships, isn't it? And you probably could do the same as well.
I think we all look at things like LinkedIn and hear about email marketing, the modern technologies, but it's unbelievable how sometimes you look at a client choosing a consultant and unbelievably manual based on who they're out networking event with the night before or who they played a round of golf with that weekend.
Right.
And you just it's a proper reminder of how analog it really is. and that's why the people to people connection is so important. But
Definitely.
also to enjoy your work and to work with like-minded people. It's not
Yes.
about working with everybody. It's about working with who you want to, and more, even more with.
No, that makes sense. A bit energizing, and
Mm.
otherwise it would be quite grim if you
Yeah,
having to slog and
yeah,
slog and slog. Yeah.
yeah.
No,
You
and
want to enjoy your work experience, undertaking the design alongside great consultants.
yeah.
This too.
Yes, that makes complete sense. And that sort of environment will carry on, hopefully, with more nurturing and more development. You can take care
Yeah,
of that, and it'll just grow exponentially, really. But in terms of your future, in terms of markets, do you feel London is the prime market for now? Would you look same internationally or look at
yeah.
other sectors?
We did actually start the first couple of years. She had a kind of practice offshoot in Mumbai. We
Okay,
had projects out there because we were doing extensions in London, towers in Mumbai, concept
okay,
towers.
as you do,
Yeah.
yeah.
So Jesus was flying out there every 3 months. And I went out there once. But it was more that we had the opportunity with a network. And
Okay,
back to that kind of headless chicken mode, we were really just trying to get business going.
yeah,
But also, I think we didn't quite know what we wanted. So we were just taking up any opportunity. And I think we definitely do want to end up doing international projects. It's kind of back to that fosters,
yeah,
sort of seeing what impact you can make on global cities or projects across the world. But at the moment, I think it's for us. We're excited about maybe some other cities in the UK, Manchester in particular, kind of projects in Birmingham, and we're looking at Bristol. So it is our ambition to work mainly in the UK.
right,
But at the moment, our majority of our work is central London. So
yeah,
it's back to that kind of super niche of just making sure we're building a good practice that's capable
yeah,
of taking the workload and actually delivering technically as well, and then slowly expanding outwards onto that. And if we can hone our craft of refurbishment, commercial interiors, then I think we will be able to add value to those other city buildings as well.
certainly.
And then be a case of if and when who might be interested in working with us internationally. So there's definitely room for the skill set of what we're learning and honing here, hopefully
Yes.
being applied internationally. But it's not something we're actively seeking like we used to.
No, that makes sense. And I suppose there's always the opportunity you might work with a big player, client, who
Yeah.
has a need internationally, which you might get taken following that,
Exactly.
your relationship with them, which is
Mm.
something
Yeah, we
that
had a
works
couple.
well.
Have had a couple of opportunities, and we do have a couple at the moment of international opportunities. But we are very much so approaching with caution to make sure that their values and the values of the project do align with what we really are trying to
Mm.
do here, so that we don't overwhelm ourselves here, underperform in London, and
Yeah.
then blow our reputation before we even started.
Yeah, I suppose that's always, again, the balance of not overstretching too much, but delivering, what you've got going on now,
Yeah.
keeping that reputation amazing, and double down on it. It was only the thing I was thinking of at Foster's when I joined. It was the credit crunch happened in like 2008, and it's like
Yeah.
everything quieted down clearly, and we had COVID. It quieted down. So it's how you keep a bit of diversity, or how would you approach that or manage that? Do you think?
Yeah, I think that. I mean, I feel like we've been through. I was at Foster's at 2008, and obviously we had White Reds probably 2 years into White Reds when the COVID hit, and
Yeah,
it felt like with Brexit and then post Ukraine and then Grenfell, I just felt like when are we going to get the kind of the good times to operate?
yeah,
But I really do think that even this year, the outlook is not great for the commercial markets. But I'd like to look at it in the reverse of what the kind of sentiment feels. And as a small practice, it's definitely a really good opportunity to put some energy into building the foundations and the network, and to kind of make some incremental steps forward, even in declining market. And diversity is a tricky one, because I think diversity does sometimes get confused with a different sector, whereas suddenly diversity, a bit worried about commercial interiors, and just hop over back to residential to try and scoot some works there. But I think it can come in other forms as well, and that is a really good opportunity for architects, I think, is to consider how can we add value in the non-traditional ways. There's so many other factions, I think, that are out there, the creative skill set that architects have.
Sure.
Not least in, just to kind of bring it into the first time into the conversation, but AI, seeing what some architects are doing in the AI world is incredible, and that might be an example of diversifying from a traditional service that architects provides. And I think that architects do need to diversify their service offering, because it does feel like it's been, in the glory days, diluted down to lots of other consultants chipping in. So I think there's an opportunity for architects to push back and to try and be creative with the way that we think about what value can we add clients in amidst a declining market. Maybe there's some help we can do with marketing, and maybe there's some help we can do with creative systems for using AI. And actually, is there some revenue streams within consultancy of advice for fire regulations? There's so many ways that I think you can diversify without taking your eye off your niche.
And I suppose even focusing on your sector or your niche, there's still different client types, like tech companies, say, or property companies or banking or law, or there's different markets which might be performing better than others when some are lower, and so you can always follow those trends as well, and who's investing.
It's always the case, like you say, when some industries or companies are up, others will be down, and vice versa. And we've definitely learned, even within our sub niche, there's just more and more niches to go down. So to kind of mindful, and the office work interiors we do for landlords is totally different for occupiers. So working with someone like Virgin, an end user of their own building that are going to occupy a space, is so different from working with someone like Crown Estate, who are thinking who's going to take this space and what will it be. And those are both different problems to kind of overcome, but the skill set we have to be able to help. So you've got almost two massive sub markets within a market, and then you can keep going and going. And like you said, between tech companies, like it, or law firms, or accountants, there's just so many ways.
Certainly,
having a bit of pressure and being forced to diversify, I think, is a good thing.
Certainly, I was hearing another niche of like someone specialising in vet practices or doctor's surgeries, and you think, you can keep it's still workplace, but it, obviously it's life sciences as well in that world. But
life sciences is a massive one, and like you say, healthcare, and one thing that isn't going away is plastic surgery, for example. Like you might, it might be the worst economic situation in the world, but I'm sure people are getting lip fillers. And, you might be a specialist lip filler clinic designer. So,
in terms of commercials, do you feel, not going into details, but do you feel by being that more expert and recognised, you can command better fees, you can negotiate better deals?
Commanding better fees is a massive topic that I think inherently, by being an expert, you're able to command the correct fees, as a starting point. which should be, in theory, fair and levels that enable a lot of profit. I think commanding good fees is the point where when you read LinkedIn or hear about other architects. It's a very common mode of writing. Architects are undercutting each other, potentially not paying fees. So I think it all comes back to the value you're offering, and why should someone pay good above good, and that for me is almost the most timeless answer to that question. It's all about brand and understanding the value you're unlocking to make it worth paying the difference between the market rate and more, to enable you to apply that value to the right clients' problems. So I think it's a mix between holding the brand and also that expertise, not just one or the other.
Yeah, that makes sense. And so you still have to explain that value add and what the client gets, and over time, because there's obviously the people who are the signature architects, so to speak, who have maybe cultivated that over 50 years. And it does take time, I suppose, to be the name people refer to. Do you work with external branding consultants, or have you?
We haven't ever done it. We never had branding. I think we definitely had some help with some PR.
Okay.
We don't have a PR consultant at the moment, but our position with branding and marketing is, at the moment, we have a lot to do to even work out what we want to communicate.
Yes.
And before we bring on external advice, and my definition of branding isn't necessarily kind of logo, typeface, brand document. It's actually, what do people think of you? Do they understand what the story is? So we're trying to do it almost bottom up way as well, of us searching ourselves, I think it is, and just trying to communicate that and engage with the community to understand if that is even honestly, authentically what we think it is. So it's almost us doing a bit of DIY brand.
Which I think was really nice. I mean, again, looking at your website or seeing the content you put out, is the video content of people, like not just you and Joe, but some of the team as well. I think it's really nice getting that human touch, and the interviews about projects and what happened, and it is authentic because it's clearly you, and it's more than just here's the project. The people in it and the people who designed it are really nice.
It's something we really, I mean, here if you visit our studio, you'll see we have our Instagram wall. It's about to go. Everything on it is all printed out and pinned up.
Okay.
So the team will put post-it notes on and say, no, don't have that. This could be a better image. And also we have a marketing assistant here full time with camera in everyone's faces as much as possible.
Okay.
To try, and all of us need to practice, communicating and practice telling the stories of our projects and also of our processes, how we do it here. I think we often assume as architects everyone knows what we do, but actually people love seeing what we do.
Certainly.
Even the other day, Joe posted a video of just him sketching on his iPad, and it kind of caught fire with the LinkedIn community, and just a really nice reminder that people really like to see what goes on, inside the studio, and it is really cool what architects do, and it's really fun.
Certainly,
it's actually really nice to tell the stories, and the same for our projects. There's so many stories we're still kind of working on getting the content out about Virgin, the project, and about the Film House project we're working on at the moment, where we're telling the little stories of the moments, and as we go a bit more as well, just so that it's not just a rush at the end of when the project's done, saying like, here's the final shots, this was the project, this is the client, this is the value, done. It's actually the kind of historic findings we found at the beginning, and it's potentially some of the issues we had and how we overcame them. There's little micro stories of what we are trying to work on, is how we can tell, and hopefully that gives that brand basically the picture of who we are.
Well, without doubt, and people will get familiar with you and your characteristics and get a better feel of what it's like working with the issues you're trying to address and work on, and what you care about. I suppose it just makes complete sense from a human to human experience, and then focusing on some of the little stories, like, or where the inspiration came from an idea, or I think it was new technology. I saw Joe was showing with a quick sketch using and going three-dimensionally in, and why, because he was up against a deadline and he had pressure and he tried something but shared it, and it's like, oh, okay. It's a really, you get people on that journey, I suppose, don't you, which is
exactly
really exciting.
And it's been really nice. This year's been quite different for us, actually, because that's a really good example of that post that Joe did. It's a genuine story of what happened. We had a pitch, and we didn't have enough time to get into twin motion and do a properly good looking visual. So we found that app, and we said, let's try and do this and overlay some music over the top of it so that it gives that feeling of the space. And that transformed the way we pitch and the way we did it now today. And so it's a real authentic moment. It's really nice to tell that story. And there's so many more that when you actually start doing it, it starts unlocking more that you think, we should tell that as well, we should tell that too.
Certainly.
And I think that's where we are hoping, instead of hiring a branding agency to come in, observe us from outside and tell us, what they think we should be posting, if we can start trying to kind of navigate and get the bravery to put our own faces up, on LinkedIn, which is no small thing to actually do.
Certainly.
It hopefully will begin to tell the story, and we can hopefully get better and better as we go as well.
Yeah, and give the opportunity to more people in the team to do it.
Yeah.
That's one of the things I saw that you interviewed the project architect, I think, and he was talking about on the Virgin project, I think.
And
it was this lovely little interview, and he just talked about something very specific. But it was, really nice. Just shows that, they've got a bigger team. It's not just the three of them, but okay. And you clearly see you go into the website, but it reinforces your business growing. So it gives people more confidence. So that's what back to why we named it White Red and why we didn't want it just to be our name is we sat down the other day for one of our current projects and said, Paloma, can you tell that story about greenery and vegetation we're specifying? And Tino, can you talk about the light tests we're doing? Lizzie, can you talk about the actual atrium that we are doing? All of those are ideas for content published later, and that is the truth of the project. So we're just trying to make sure that it's not just general. Certainly.
Talk other people do it. It's always doing. It's really encouraging as well when one team member gets bravery to go on camera. It does inspire the others.
I see.
Our aim is for everybody to be telling them their side authentically. Yeah,
it's fascinating that how get over that side of, especially if you're a bit introverted as well, if you've been normally working really on the computer and quiet work, and then but if they're proud of the work they've done, it's a great showcase for their work. And if everyone's doing it, it will encourage that great spirit again.
We've got them, all the videos compiled together on loop with all our TVs and the screens. It's quite good because
nice.
I was just having a chat with Paloma, for example, and I was just watching the screen, and she was saying as well, sometimes you do just end up watching the highlight reels of White Red. It's lovely. I really like seeing it. And she's like, I know, I hate seeing myself, but it's actually, I was like, everyone hates the voice and everyone hates seeing it, but she's like, what, actually it's quite good because I know next time I want to do this. It's really good. Everyone see everybody talking, and it's all part of the background hum of White Red. So
certainly
that branding point you mentioned is it's a long and winding answer. It's a massive part of White Red.
But it's a much more tangible thing. Branding, what does that really mean? And actually, when you present it, like you're saying, it's telling the story and sharing all the great work you're doing. And it's a learning tool, I suppose, for these examples for the presenting, but also the design development.
Yeah.
Plus, it goes out to the client, and it's it just seems really like organic and healthy way of doing it. That you're in and doing it in micro steps for someone engaging with that content is quite digestible when everyone's super busy, and you're like, oh yeah, okay, and then it just seems really like a nice way to do it, if it makes sense.
Yeah, it's been a long time working on how to do it. I think my wife made a joke, is how many books does it take me to read about marketing before I do a post? Like, it's probably on average like a 3 book a post ratio at the moment, the amount of times, because she's just constantly seen me reading about marketing, talking about it, and not actually posting anything.
Okay.
So it's quite a good moment where I was like, you know what, I'm just going to get on with this now. And like most things in life, I think you just need to commit to it, commit time to it, and work around a system that works for you.
Right.
And then also try and inspire a team to do the same.
Are you trying to sort of post the sort of target number a month or something, or have you got a rough idea?
I think I'd like to. I mean, it always starts. You always start with a target, and then you fall flat in the face. So the other way around, I've started to do is to have a system, so that the system helped me can fall to that level, which is at the moment trying to write an article a week, and that is not been achieved quite, but I know that's my target. And sometimes those articles I write are for nobody apart from me, and the idea is I'll get them out. It's a story that I've been kind of wanting to tell, that I've been thinking might be interesting, but it's an article that, as long as I've finished it, it's consolidated in my mind. I'm happy with the way it flows. It's out, and then that also gives me inspiration to do smaller posts from.
Sure.
So that's my strategy.
Okay.
But it really helps me to frame it as well, so that I don't. What I found for a long time was you end up just turning LinkedIn on, Instagram, just going like, what do I post now? And just looking around, what's the nearest to you, not having that consistency. So I find having a system of preparedness.
No, that makes sense. And if you've got a theme you're working on, or if you focus on specific themes, is there an agenda? Clearly, you're trying to promote a certain image, I suppose, or is it just something which feels right?
I think it's. I mean, there's definitely what I have been finding is almost. It sounds pretty cheesy, but you are kind of finding who you are. And I'm kind of covering what you're even thinking about, whether or not it's relevant. But more importantly is to try and see if there's anyone out there to connect with who might be along the same lines. And that's almost the most exciting. It's the idea that maybe, even if it's just 5 of you, there might be a community of like-minded, not even necessarily need to be architects, it's just people connect with that are looking at similar issues, experience different things, or interested. I think that's the most exciting thing, is to use it as a way of exploration, and find it almost helpful in a lot of other factors in the way as well.
Certainly, I can. If you're having an example of, I suppose, a problem with a listed building or a challenge on a project, and then you might attract, I suppose, someone who could help that from maybe engineering or other areas, or if it was about business, again, there's an open conversation. It does make sense. Do you find then, I mean, you obviously track your clients, where opportunities are coming from. You've got quite a mature system now in place, do you think?
Yeah, we have for a while. We've always had a CRM, which is a client relationship management system. We play for about 5 years now, even very low. We had a system which was a little bit too intense for then set up our own back into a software system. But to be honest, I think the learning from that is that it's not even about the software or anything, it's about how the attitude is towards what you want from it, how you read the results from using the system, how you get inspired to how you keep track. So it's really important to us. But it's always been there. We always had it.
Okay.
It's definitely lost. It's,
Yeah, I think when we met the last time, you were talking about, was it fanatical prospecting and how that 90-day story, was it? Or like if you...
Yeah, I literally today text Joe and Jesus saying, look, 90 days from now is the 29th of May. So put yourself in that position. So, you know, it might feel like we're really busy today, but we just keep at it.
Yeah. With the idea of keeping prospecting, keeping contacting, reaching out.
Keep contacting, yeah. You know, it's week by week I deliver results to Joe and Jesus on that.
Okay.
What prospecting has been this week. Got a way of tracking that now. It's different from probably 5 years ago where it was properly cold outreach beginning.
Yeah.
Even to know who was who and who we should be speaking to. Now it's about understanding the market and understanding who's working on what and also chasing up on potentials and opportunities. So it's a little bit more in a different stage, but they're still as important. Not just head down doing tasks which are easy to use as an excuse to actually do the BD.
Certainly. Yeah, I'm too busy. I don't want to do that. I'm too busy. I can't do picking up the phone. But then, so you would actually have picked up the phone and almost cold called people, would you?
We did that. Yeah, we did it. A very tough period. You know, of, I think I set us, all three of us, 8 phone calls a day.
Okay.
Each of cold prospecting. And but we made some good progress. We learned it well.
I suppose it's it. And targeting.
I don't quite do that now. I don't think everyone will get annoyed with us.
Yeah, and then that you've doing it in different ways and you've grown different experiences and ways of contacting people, like you say, through networking events or
it's definitely still also a lot of phone calls, but we're not as cold.
Okay, I suppose that's it, how you get people warmed up and which probably for the content you're producing helps as well, because they will be reminded what you're doing and so that is
the plan is that, you know, like I said, it's all goes back to that kind of analog moment where maybe there's a client saying you should put on the pitch list, and if they maybe have seen your LinkedIn post, they have a phone call, even a PM, have a phone call, then we're there. It's not about being everywhere. It's hopefully you're the right brand for that right problem. And if you are, you just need to be at least at the front of mind to be there to provide that solution.
Certainly. And I suppose, again, it's nice how it layers on top of each other. The niching helps. You get known for that area. You're in the location, which works. The projects come up and you, plus all the press, and it attracts more people. So it's a multi-layered approach. Plus, but you still feel you've got to actively engage with people and prospects, and it's not like the work's going to just flow in. You sort of do have this sort of moment. It's
never ending. I actually I did a business accelerator last year. It was a Goldman Sachs course, and it was really interesting because we typically, as a business, we've always been quite proactive BD. We've always been quite conservative with the cash that we hold, and to try and be very conservative to make sure we have a nice cash buffer. And
nice iPhones.
Really, sorry.
Nice iPhones.
less nice iPhones. But we always thought that was a good thing, and it was really interesting in that accelerator thing. And then the business mentor said, look, that's not necessarily a good thing for business because it's a symptom of something else, which is that you don't have confidence in your pipeline. And I find that really interesting because not having confidence in the pipeline isn't necessarily about whether you're busy or not. It's about not understanding if you're going to be busy in 3 months, 4 months, 5 months. So that's usually the problem. And so kind of reaction to that is I need to conserve so that I can make sure that if it comes in, at least we've got a buffer. And so her point wasn't that you spend the cash, it's more that you need to try and figure out how to gain confidence in your pipeline. So for us, I think the only way we can do that is to start with prospecting, because that's the top of the funnel, and to make sure we are consistent with what we do, and to all do it together as a team,
Okay.
each other, and then hopefully the knock on of that is that if we are doing prospecting properly, then the opportunities should come to you.
Yeah, like you say, and then you keep tracking it and see if it's dipped down, and then always looking ahead to and quite nice again, that spirit of the three of you or the wider team in it together. And actually, it's not just all looking at you to make the introductions, but it's team
definitely.
spirit.
Hopefully it's not me. No, it
If
likes me. It's all, that's what the head of Joe and Jesus said.
It's interesting though, how different people you get appeal to, different attitudes.
It's amazing, actually. That is, again, back to the kind of the different architect type, and within even that, there's above that is the different personality type. It's amazing.
Certainly.
The variety of personality types and people who get on with certain types and others, and wanting to be loved by everyone is never a good thing.
Right.
Understanding that some people will get on with you, some people won't, and understanding that's fine. The beauty of the difference we have between Joe, Jesus, and myself, and also different personalities in here in White Red, is that we have such a multitude of different relationships, connections, and personality types. So it's brilliant. And, it's not a singular typology of client.
I suppose leads can come from all places, like connections with some of the junior architects, maybe people who in client teams or PM teams or whatever. And it's how many people are in the practice now?
So we're 19 now.
Okay.
Yeah, and
it's a good number.
Yeah, it's it's good. It's a great atmosphere as well, and we're really lucky. Our studio space, which you've been to, haven't you? It's meeting rooms on one side, and then all the desks on the other in the office side, and it's that kind of double fronted shop front, and it's really lovely being ground floor, being connected to Shoreditch, and our road is just a great community, quite creative industries as well, and a couple of other architects.
Certainly,
It's just it's really nice atmosphere in here as well.
Yeah, no, I mean I can imagine there's a sort of lovely community around there, and just by clustering together, I suppose that can generate work as well. And
I think like we this year we hosted a party at the Vitra showroom. And we work a lot with lighting suppliers and furniture consultants and furniture suppliers, so they're all a stone's throw, and some important things can happen from the community. And that party we hosted at Vitra was just there opposite, and that connection is really strong between us, and it really does inform our projects. And then going out into a tile showroom, just having a little wander and chatting to them all, the guys who work there, managed to find a tile which we're using on a massive project.
It's
quite a defining feature. So it's really important to go back to that kind of exploration and exploration. All we used to score interest and score digitally. But I think having this location here has really enabled us to uphold that in this place.
Right. It makes complete sense, especially in a world where if remote working can be done, is it the right? And it works in some situations probably. And it's like, actually for this experience, it works really well to be in where you are. It aligns perfectly with what you're doing. Makes a lot of sense. It's brilliant. There's a lot to take in there. I'm sort of just digesting where we've covered. And I suppose I was going to ask, scale wise, or have you got ambitions to just keep growing, conquer the world?
I think probably if you had asked me when I first set up, I probably would have said Foster's or nothing, But I think having had the consolidation of the past year or so of understanding what goes into making sure we can deliver well with the size of practice. I think Lizzie, also as a director, has been instrumental in kind of helping us to understand the structure we would need as a practice and putting that together and working with the team as well and us to manage that. I think the answer probably, it's not really a defined number like I used to have.
Okay.
But I think the size of projects we want to do to try and get in the mix with that bigger size.
Yes.
And I think we need to then address how many of those we want to do and how big a team, because we love the culture of that smaller practice at the moment, and we also don't really want to run before. There's actually Simon Orford some really wise words to us was, that at this point, as White Red, where we are, it's our reputation is everything, and if we don't deliver on the concepts and the designs we're offering and that exciting front end design work that we're doing, don't technically capably deliver on that, the reputation will be out there before we know it. And like you said, that's the biggest risk to us. So just take care of that, and that's something that Lizzie's been instrumental in helping to form it. How do we do that? Overseeing the quality, making sure that we have the technical efficiency to take on the projects that we're promising we can do. So we're still in that stage. So there's kind of unknown to that question. So
it sounds like it's a lot more considered. Like you've gone in deeper, and now you're focusing on building out really good technical delivery, and keeping a reputation of delivery, which has got to make sense. You can design well, but you've got to be able to deliver, and otherwise, clients will get a bit cheesed off. I'm sure.
Yeah, I think so, and I think actually it's a false economy that size, number of headcount equals, better, and, in certain respects. So I'm quite enjoying being lean and punching above the weight and winning pitches against bigger practices is even more rewarding.
Certainly.
So I'm enjoying this phase. I did probably, if I'm honest, at the beginning, just think, right, when can we get to 1,000? but that I think just is that kind of blind entrepreneurial seizure.
Right.
Of let's go. Surely it's as simple as you get products in, you do them. Get products in, you do them. So
get more.
Just needs to do more. Yeah. But now understanding the nuances of building a culture, building a team, and building sustainably. It's definitely having an impact on me on thinking what size of practice do we even want to be. So
certainly, and having that mindfulness of culture and what would happen if you get bigger, how will you communicate, but also this is a prototype in a sense of fine-tuning all of the core processes, which might lead to this scaling.
Exactly.
Scaling if you wanted to, because you could do it because you know how to structure each portfolio of projects.
I think that word prototype is a really good example. I feel like we really are building a prototype now, picking on our sub niche, picking our location, size of office, we kind of filled it out, and now building the team around delivering for a certain size of projects is where we are. We are working with some amazing clients. Quite ahead of where we probably should be at this stage, but we have so much to prove that's against us being picked on the last on the pitch list and actually winning it, and you've got everything to prove. So we just don't want to drop the ball at this early stage.
No, not at all.
And prove people right, basically, that you shouldn't pick the kind of energetic small. Should just go with the safe airplanes and doing practice. So I think I'm more excited about that. Some of the jobs we're having at the moment are quite large, and the clients have been clear. The trust in us to deliver and to show we're capable. So we want that end result for those projects to be that well done. I'm really impressed who did it, and hopefully then that can lead on to potentially other sectors or other growth internationally or however it may be.
Sure.
But at least then we'll have always had that core foundation of having built
Certainly.
this sense of it.
And I suppose there's a really interesting dynamic there about winning work. If the client's feeding back, we want something different. We want something energized and a new team coming in, because our product or what we're trying to achieve, we don't want the same as everyone else. If there's like loads and loads of corporate interiors which are beige or whatever, want something more exciting and vibrant for the tenants or the owners, occupiers.
Exactly that, and like goes back to that brand as well as the moment we might be the right brand. Some people will the wrong brand for a lot of people. So that's absolutely fine to be like that. And the more we do our own marketing and unearth that story itself, the more confident we get.
Certainly,
you realise that we aren't a one size fits all. And it's actually exciting to be admiring in some respects to be the right fit for someone.
Yeah, no, it makes complete sense, and probably comes down to energy. If you've got younger, dynamic, energetic companies which align with you, and whether it's client teams or project managers, all that client team wants, just some fresh, exciting energy. I mean, it does make sense. I mean, and it's exciting. So you're not losing energy; you're just more and more empowered, I suppose. I mean, what? Yeah. So I was going to ask another question, but I thought I'd just pause. I was just going to say burnout. I was like, how do you keep your energy levels?
Yes, I mean, having a baby definitely throws a spanner in the works. Joe's got 3 children, Jesus has got 2, and I've got 1 2-year-old.
Wow.
So I think that is an interesting mix in the business ownership, but at the same time, it's also almost an impressive way to make you more efficient.
Yes, certainly,
and also much needed to make sure you don't burn out and to kind of give totally everything just the business and being holistic with real relationships and friends and family as well. It actually has a positive impact.
Certainly
on your work. So I think keeping energized is it's really important, because it's a tough slog. It's tough building. It's a tough market out there. As you say, we've had quite a few, not least COVID, Ukraine, Brexit, and Grenfell. We've had a fair play of spanners in the works. So I think it's been quite a journey so far. We're looking forward to the golden years.
Which will undoubtedly come next year. It's clearly just around the corner. But I suppose I can feel the energy of the joy of just try this prototype, which is growing. The team energy is growing, the culture, and it must be very satisfying. And it's clearly working, because some of the projects you're working on are phenomenal. One with Heinz, with Filmhouse, they are getting bigger and bigger as well, aren't they? I suppose.
Yeah, they are, and that's the beauty, really, I guess, as well, of setting up your own practice, is that inevitably, if you do have ambition to grow it and to grow through the scale, then it gets more and more exciting. Every pitch you do, you lose it, it's still exciting.
Certainly.
Into it. And
I guess you learn the most through those times, probably, as well.
Yeah, you do. You kind of sharpen your tools, and the most important thing you can do is reflect on why you didn't win it, and understand that probably you honestly weren't the right choice.
Right.
And if you feel that you were, then what did you do wrong to not communicate? That's the best thing you can do, and it's definitely something we've taken really seriously, of how we get the feedback and how we learn from it.
Do you all pitch together? Do you come as en masse?
I think we tend to do it in twos, not all 3 of us at once.
Makes sense.
It's kind of right fit for the right client project, so it's never just all at once. I think we used to, but I think we just used to bamboozle everybody, just all of us.
Okay.
Now we tend to, either myself, Joe, Jesus, alongside Lizzie or
Okay.
associates, Kit or Tina, and then team members as well. So we like to try and present who working on projects, who's involved.
Right.
Recently won a pitch with architects who came along and was really instrumental in that pitch win. So
Nice.
Did moments and speaking to the client where I just had to stand back and watch in awe that is now working on that project and won
Fantastic.
the pitch, and I don't think I had much to do with it, to be honest.
That's how it works. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But you've set the platform up to allow that to happen.
Well, it's it really is great when it feels that collaborative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brilliant. I'm just mindful of time now. I think I've kept you, and there's loads of great stuff there. But
talking about energized at like 4:00 on the Friday afternoon.
I know. I'll stop the recording now, but that's brilliant.